We just got cameras going in every direction.
I thought maybe we were filming.
I think we are
talking
rolling.
to the mic. All right, you guys let it rip.
Well, the whole point of this podcast is how you carve your path, and like obviously I have details of you and like knew you prior,
Yeah.
but I never really dove in with you and had to do my own digging, and I've been obviously digging. But you didn't start off as this social media entrepreneurial person. You're probably entrepreneurial, but like not a lot of success in the forefront. So like before JohnnyDrinks, right?
Yeah.
Who was John?
So, wow, okay. Good question. And thank you for having me on. And I like the name Carve Your Path based on your last name. Very nice. So pre-JohnnyDrinks, I guess it was like 2020 when we started
Yep.
the page itself. I was fresh out of college and I had an app out of college. So the entrepreneurial thing, I guess, like I never really consider myself as one, but I always wanted to be different. Didn't really know what that meant, but I was like, I can't do what everybody else is doing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I had a really big problem with authority. Like I just don't want to listen to people, which sounds super pretentious and arrogant, but that's just kind of how I felt. Anyway, so I had this app which was called Stunited, and it was like an academic marketplace. So like you would upload an assignment, and then you'd have somebody bid on that assignment, right? So you can. The real intention behind the app was a bartering platform for skills. So like I was good at math, but I hated writing, and so I'd say to you, hey Zan, like take my writing assignment, help me with it, and then I'll help you with your math, and you could kind of paint the picture as to what could go wrong in that situation, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong type of thing. So we're building this out, and we scaled pretty big. We were like one of the top 100 apps on the App Store at one point, but we didn't really have any guardrails to protect people from blackmail and stuff like that, and that's exactly what happened. So we had a bunch of like Iraqi rings of people that were going on the app, and like,
No way.
yeah, dude, it was pretty nuts. Like they would have a kid, I remember, he like asked for help, which was maybe glorified cheating. And like they screenshot it, said we're gonna send it to your school, get you expelled if you don't pay us this much money. Wow. And I'm like 24, and all the money I had was from caddying. And I'm like, hey man, I don't know if I can help you right now. Like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I got them off the app, and as soon as that happened, and simultaneously the JohnnyDrinks brand is growing, I was like, I'm gonna freeze operations here because clearly I'm not in it. I was very self-aware that I didn't enjoy what I was doing, so I hopped off that train. I had to like tell my investors the money's gone, and I'm moving on to this thing. And then it was like pretty quick that I realized I was always on the wrong side of the coin, because when I was doing the app, I had to pay to promote the app on like random social pages, right? I remember there was a page called Banger or something. It was like the Red Solo Cup. What the fuck was it called? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about? Banger Buddies or whatever? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, Banger Buddy. So I reached out to the kid. I was like, hey man, how much to promote my app? And he's like, $500 for a story. And I was like, hold on. You get paid that much money to post a story? And he's like 17, this kid. And I was like, that is sick, and I'm intrigued on that side. So as soon as I started growing the brand with my dad, I'm like, hey, this is not just like a fun game. This could be something pretty serious. But in the beginning, it was just like us posting, and like it was an everyday thing. And we hit TikTok at like a very early point. So it was like everything we posted did super well.
Pause. I want to go back first off. You had to learn that you were not best suited to run that business because your heart wasn't in it. And I think that's an important thing that most people need to realize, is that entrepreneurs are typically just a personality type. They're not somebody who was, your idea is one idea, and it could always just transcend into the next idea. But if your heart isn't in it, that's a really self-aware thing to do, to say like, we need to shut this thing down. And if people invested in your company because of you, as long as you present that to them the right way, like they'll still ride with you. A lot of them will.
Well,
right?
that's exactly what it was. Like I was, again, 21 when I had the idea, and I was very stubborn. So like when I put it out there that I want to do this thing, I think when you're young and immature, you think that the world is going to always give you back what you put out. And so I said this to everybody with excitement, and a lot of the pushback I got, I was like really upset about. I was like, how do you not see the vision that I see, type of thing?
Yeah.
But I sort of let that drive me, and I was like, I'm going to show you, right? I'm going to do this out of pure stubbornness. Now, I don't even want to do this, but I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
And then I ended up like winning my school's entrepreneurship competition for like pitching and stuff like that, which was a god awful pitch. I don't know how I won, but I look back, I'm like, I can't even watch this 18-minute, presentation.
Yep.
So I kept, and then you're like in it too deep. I'm like, I'm in the fucking weeds now. I'm pitching these schools, and I've been doing this now for 3 years. Like I'm all in, but I don't enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
The sales cycle for a school is like a year, so it took so long to get a school on board.
Yep.
And ed tech is the most boring space you can be in. Like there was nothing fun about what I was doing. The only thing that was fun was promoting it. So like I'd go to a different college campus literally every week of my senior year. So I was on like 15 different campuses. And so like that was fun. I'd go to like frat parties and hand out free hot dogs and give out t-shirts. But what I lost sight of was the purpose of those things. Like I'd go have fun, but I would always ignore like the really hard questions, which would be like, so like, are you using the app, and what don't you like about the app, and what do you like? I was just there to promote a brand and have a good time doing it. And so I kind of lost sight of that. Yeah, my heart was definitely not in it, and I was very self-aware to know I was not the right dude for the job. Even if this thing scaled, I was to hire another CEO because it was not going to be me.
And that's where like the exit quality, the exit timing is important, right? Because and like we were talking about earlier, like if the CEO is not in it, like they need to get out.
Definitely.
Then the business engine is probably gone unless they have the right people in place. And if you're super early, you have to understand that, because otherwise it's, swim or die. Right? At this point, you're done. But the unique thing about your idea of how you transitioned is you went from being somebody who needed to operate a system and set up a marketplace to becoming the marketplace that people would want to come to because of the brand that you build. And it allows you to flourish within that right brain that you have. And obviously, like, you're very creative. So the idea is focusing on something that you are good at and leaning into that, and then building those, maybe weaker qualities into strengths later on, but like running with the idea when you have the momentum.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the thing that I want to like focus on is the viral moment, because JohnnyDrinks didn't just like, obviously appear. It had to happen, but you posted one video and it basically popped up.
Yeah, it's ironic because it kind of did just happen. Like it was a overnight thing that I was never looking for virality. I was never like which good. Like I didn't want to be chasing that thing and then you get it and then it's like, whoa. So this drug kind of hits you overnight and you're like, that's kind of cool. But the real cool part was like the consistency, because you always had this feeling of we're a flash in the pan and we went viral one time, it'll never happen again. So when I started seeing it happening over and over and over again, and I remember it was like February of 2020, so then we went into shutdown. We had nothing else to do but make cocktails, and so we're in the basement Googling, because like we weren't bartenders, we had no clue what we were doing. And then we went out like August of 2020 for like a wedding. I think it was down in Nashville, and we have people like asking to take pictures with us, and like, you're the guys. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want my picture for? Like, what are you talking about? So that was a really like surreal, holy shit moment. And we went back home and I was like, Dad, this is for real. And I'll never forget when the money situation or like conversations we're having or they were happening. My dad's like, look, you take all the money, I'll take the merchandise. Like any sort of shirts and liquor and stuff, I'll take that. You can take the couple $100 we're making. Because at the time, that's what it was, right? Yeah. And then I took him a little bit of time to realize that this wasn't just like some play around money. And I had to present it to him. I was like, hey, this is a business. And he's like, come to me when we make this much money. And I was like, I don't know if you know this, we made that money last month. You know what I mean? And that's not like me bragging about it, because I was shocked every time. Yeah. And like, you don't know, it's a weird space because you're creating the I guess like the demand price. Like nobody knows what that number is. If I say I'm worth $100 and you say deal, I'm now worth $100.
Right.
I could be worth 1,000. I could be worth $50. You know what I mean? But you were the one that chose that price for me. And so you kind of just keep rising up in the ladder and being like, we're going to charge this much until everybody says no, and then, or everybody says yes, and then we'll double it. Yeah. And then as long as I have 3 out of the 10 people saying yes, I'm still kind of good. And then you kind of teeter back and forth between that stuff. But like the business side of that stuff, we can kind of get into later on. It was more like I was having fun growing a brand, and it becomes an addiction too. Like you get very, very, very hyper fixated on the numbers. And then when you're on this high and you have a down day, and we were kind of talking about it off camera, you get slapped in the face and you're like, that's it, I'm over. Yeah. Like the voices in your head become very, very loud, and you're like, I'm going to go find a real job. This content stuff isn't for me. And then you just talk yourself off the ledge and you start making content again. And then you wait for your next, big high. And so for us, it was like this roller coaster of emotions. I just kind of like never let them get as high and never let them get as low, which is kind of upsetting too, because I haven't had that real high feeling in a long time. Like it's hard for me to get there, but I miss getting there,
It's the volatility of the highs and lows that you have to figure out how to like find the midline, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you've ever had like a traditional job, have you?
Dude, I caddied from 14 years old. I worked as a host at Applebee's for, swear to God, 2 weeks. Yeah. And saw my paycheck and I was like, I could have made this in a day of caddying. I'm fucking out of here. Yeah. Did that. I interned at a financial management company, a wealth management company. I forget the name, and made it 4 weeks in the summertime. And I'm like, hey, I'm out. And they're like, go do your thing, man. Because that was when I was scaling the app.
Yeah.
That was it. I've never been on an interview.
Wow.
I don't know. So my cousin, we always joke about it. Like he's a striker. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk about interview process? Like they are the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And so I'm always playing with him. I was like, all right, ask me a question. Like, what would he's like, dude, you wouldn't make it past the one round. You're horrible. I'm like, dude, listen, I don't have to, thankfully. But it's fun for me to look at that sort of stuff because it's such a life that I've never been in that I'm intrigued by it. Like I 100%. Like seeing what other people are doing that's like considered a grind outside of my space.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, my entrepreneurial spirit was always there. I was always trying to develop and build things, but it wasn't necessarily like I had like a brand or something to focus on. So it was always like taking that entrepreneurial approach within a much more traditional route. Mm-hmm. And I was just fortunate enough that my niche of finance is a lot more entrepreneurial than any other, right?
Yeah.
You don't just get paid your salary plus your bonus at the end of the year, depending on how you do. It's pretty much month to month. How are you trending? And are you doing what you're supposed to do? Is the business building? And if you have, client leave, then that's a huge ding to your revenue.
Yeah.
You don't feel that as an employee of a bank, but as the business owner or somebody tied directly to the revenue, that you feel that on the bottom line almost instantaneously, right?
Yeah, but it's also pretty cool about your space though, is like you get your fix of like entrepreneurial freedom, and you can kind of like see that there's no ceiling for revenue and stuff like that, but you do have structure and you have an understanding of a carved out path, right? So even from down to like how you're dressing and what you do in your mornings and what you do at nights, somebody has already done that very, very well and could probably be a mentor for you that works at anyway. So you have like this copy and paste routine and structure that probably feels pretty good every morning to know what you're doing. Whereas when you're in this space, it seems like a lot of fun, like having the freedom. I can't tell you how many days I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing today?
Yeah.
And it eats at me for a little bit in the morning because I'm like, why am I sleeping in until 8:30, 9 o'clock? I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But you get your work done.
I can relate to that. And just so you know, we're going to cut that one piece about UBS just because I'm not allowed to have it on the pod.
Fair enough.
That's cool. Lou will be able to do that.
Can you blank it out?
Yeah, but maybe we will do that. We'll just blank it out.
Just whatever I said.
But you're so right, because to be an entrepreneur, you will probably struggle to find structure, right? Because your day is open architecture.
Yeah.
It's putting out fires constantly, trying to figure out what project to be focused on, what problem to be focused on. But those who can create that structure around their open architecture are the ones who are the most lethal.
Yeah.
Have you found that you've been able to like create that structure with
No.
somebody who focuses on social media?
Definitely not. And it's funny because I work with my dad, and he's from corporate America. He was at I don't know if I could. He was at Wells Fargo for 30 some years. He was mortgage finance.
Yeah.
I don't know why he hides the fact that he's at Wells. Like you look his name up. I think it was a bad whatever. I'm looking into it. Anyway, so he's from very traditional. Like this was pre-COVID, so they went into the office every single day. He knew exactly what he was doing, and so for him, he's like, "When are we having a meeting?" I'm like, "To talk about what, dude? The fucking TikTok we're gonna be making tomorrow? Like, what do you want to talk about?"
Yeah.
But so he gets frustrated by my lack of structure. I get frustrated by his need for structure.
Yeah.
And so I've had to come to grips with like a relative schedule. So we have like an understanding of when we're filming and what I'm gonna post and different ideas, stuff like that. And our agency helps with that a ton. Like they're on top of me. Like we talked about skills and things that we're not too good at before. And I definitely lack the ability to organize my own life. And so my agent will text me every morning and be like, hey, here are the brands you have to film for this week. Here's the brands you have to post for. Here are the concepts. Here's potential. And that helps me a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And then they'll ping me 5 times a day. Like, hey, just so you know, here's your reminder.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I would be feeling like I'm constantly putting out fires. But it said now, like, it allows me to get really creative. It's like hard to create when you're always stressed and thinking about what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
So for us, less of like feeling stressed, the more of like, I just get bored sometimes. And I'm like, what could we do to have some fun again? You know, so I'll do dumb shit like we filmed 100 videos in a day. And like for me, whatever that yields as far as a return of like views, I don't really care about. It's something for me to look forward to and have the audience kind of follow along with.
Yeah.
But stuff like that.
And I think it's trying stuff, right? And in a lot of ways, that's life, is you have to try stuff and you have to lock into a current like concept of what it is that you're trying to do and see what the results are.
Definitely.
I use the word lock in. So we're going to try the ultra pouches.
Oh,
so,
shit.
This
Here
is
we
the
go.
time when we put in the pouch.
Okay.
So
was that the key phrase you use when you lock
key
in?
Phrase, the lock in. Because we all have lock-in periods in life, and we all have to figure out what is going to cue us to be the best and highest performer. And for us on this show, we are sponsored by Ultra Pouches.
This is your plug. That was a phenomenal ad. That was
bad,
your ad
right?
read. That was really good. What'd you read off of nothing?
No.
Off your memory?
Thin
Holy
air
shit.
and how much I love putting the pouch in.
Wow, that
Number
was
one
good, man.
non-nicotine pouch on the market.
Okay.
upper decky or lower decky type of guy?
Dude, I don't do these at all. And so for the audience that's out there, I may have to take a break if I start sweating. I'm in this sweater.
I really hope you don't pass out. That would be kind of detrimental to the
I'll
flow
pause
of
the podcast if I'm about to pass out. So what do we have in here? We have some B vitamins, some sodium, some alpha CPG, which I just heard is good before your workout.
Alpha GPC, and the reason why is it promotes the acetylcholine in your brain, which allows you to think better, digest information better, and focus.
This guy's smart. And the theanine, which is good, that's in like green tea, helps you stay focused and relax. Yeah, sometimes, and there's no caffeine in this.
Nope, no caffeine at all.
Good.
So it's got paraxanthine, the Infinity PX.
You ever hear of, no, I'm getting off tangent, but the brand Update Energy?
Yeah, I have.
So we're investors in them.
Okay.
Yeah, quick shout out to Update. I'm doing my own plug now. No, I'm just kidding. But they use paraxanthine instead of caffeine.
Yeah.
And they're doing, they have a really big announcement that's going to come out, I think, pretty soon. And I'll tell you off camera. But they went through a crazy journey too.
It's interesting to see how like the supplement market and like CPG market is changing a ton. And caffeine drinks, any energy drinks, they all have to reformat how they formulating their product, right? And now, like we were saying, like people are getting holistically healthier and focusing on things that are going to be less detrimental to their health. Most people have adrenal problems because they're just loading caffeine. Paraxanthine helps a lot because it's a downstream metabolite of caffeine, so you're not getting the same central nervous system effect.
How you know all this shit?
Do a lot of digging and taking a lot of ultra pouches.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know.
Shout out Ultra Pouch.
I'm a Huberman guy. I like to watch a lot.
Do you? See, I love Huberman, but sometimes I'm like, it's funny because I was thinking about my daily routine, and I'm like, this guy definitely has a structured morning routine, and I've had one, and I'm a big like, what yields a result, right? What is my return on whatever I'm doing? Like, what's my opportunity cost?
Yeah.
And so if my return isn't improving when I'm doing these things, I'm gonna stop doing those things. So I was super regimented. My morning routine was like 2 hours. I'd like wake up, I'd go for a walk, I'd pray, I'd journal, I'd meditate, I'd read, do all these different things. And then I'd look at the end of the day and I'm like, was I any more successful that day because of this bullshit routine? And sometimes it was like, yes, like things I do like to do, like pray and I will sit and read. But other things I had to take out. It was taking up too much of my time. I was thinking too much about working instead of just going and working.
Yeah. I think like Hormozy talks a lot about that. Where
Just
like
get up and go.
Yeah. I'm very much a proponent of that. Like my best like workflow is on the Stairmaster on my laptop in the first like hour of the day. Like wake up, brush your teeth, wash your face, do your thing, get yourself ready to like emerge into the world, and then I go down to the Stairmaster, and that next half hour of work is like probably the most organized clarity that I create. A lot of it is like journaling, writing things down, but also like reading news.
On the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
You're on your laptop on the Stairmaster?
Yeah, because it fits perfectly on the handles.
Oh, this guy's nuts. That's crazy.
But it's like, and that's why like I don't run. Like I actually like running. I'm not gonna go do an ultra with this guy. I'll probably pick up 5 miles with him. But the idea for me is like, okay, I'm getting cardio done, which is helping the metabolism, just getting me moving during the morning, releasing dopamine, and I'm getting work done. And if I were doing that outside, probably same hormonal effect, but I'm not getting anything organized in my head. Yeah.
I like that. I may start implementing that in my routine.
I think it's worth a try. And I've done it with the treadmill too. You just got to use a couple yoga mats. I get 2 yoga mats, squeeze them in there, and then like it sits on top, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think the morning routine sometimes gets over extrapolated where most people are trying to like add in all these new ideas. I'm like, well, there's only so much bandwidth in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't fit anything else in there, then there's nothing else to get ROI out of, right? You just need to make systems more efficient, or you need to figure out what needs to be subtracted to add back in.
Yeah.
Like my mornings are 5 a.m. wake up, cardio, and then like I'm going to the city by 7. So like my first 2 hours are crucial because I'm like getting food packed into my backpack. I'm, shaving, getting myself presentable for the day, putting a suit on. But it's the cardio. It's like, okay, I got to mail something out for one of the Savage guys, so I got to pack that up and throw that at the front desk.
Sure.
So it's like trying to make the most out of the first 2 hours of the day before I launch into the city. And then it's like AirPods in, either on the phone or listening to like news and stuff, like earnings reports the last couple of weeks. So it's like I have to maximize that time before I get into the office because otherwise you just get hit with a dumpster fire. As soon as I open up the emails, it's like I'm screwed.
Yeah,
And
that's why you got to be mentally ready.
Right, and then the market opens 9:30. Like anybody who calls me, and my friends who call me at 9:30, they know that I'm not answering.
Sure.
Because the truth is, like I'm probably already trading or already on the phone with a client.
What time are you in bed?
That's the problem. Because I'm so entrepreneurial and like do the social media, have like so many calls booked and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like 9, 10, or 11. Like it really varies.
You're saying that's late?
Well, for somebody who wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning. If I'm training in the morning, which is what the rhythm has been for the last like 3 months, just because life's been busy, and if I don't prioritize it first, it doesn't get done.
Sure.
So I'll wake up at 4 to get to the gym by 5 and start doing the thing. But that means I need to be in bed by 8 or 9 because otherwise you suffer on sleep. And that was something I neglected for so long.
It's really crazy how I feel like I'm, as a whatever space you want to consider me in. Not that there's an immaturity to the lifestyle, but I've never had to adapt a super structured life that I always expected at 30 I'd have to. You know what I mean? When you're 21, 22, you're like, all right, when I grow up, I'm going to wake up really early. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to wear these kind of clothes, and I'm going to be in bed by 9 o'clock. But I've stayed in like this place of I could do whatever I want, you know? And so it's like a weird limbo stage of you're always feeling, again, immature is the wrong word, but it's almost like there's such a life out there that I'll probably never live, you know what I mean? But I've always strived to do that.
Yeah.
So I look at people like that, I'm like, oh man, if I wasn't doing this, it's probably exactly what I'd be doing.
Yeah, probably. The grass is always greener, right?
For sure. I love this. I love this side over here.
Yeah, and
the grass is green.
I think what's really cool is like you can appreciate that side of life, but most people would look at 3 million followers on TikTok and be like, "Oh my God, I'm salivating at the mouth for this," right? Because most people want that recognition and they want the money that probably comes with it, but they probably have a really skewed perception on how that money actually gets generated, right? Like how much work has to be squeezed out to get the dollars when you have 3 million followers.
I was just talking to my buddy, I won't say his name. A lot of followers and really struggling to make. I'm not talking about making a lot of money. I'm talking about making money in general.
Yeah.
And I think, especially now in 2026, the biggest misconception is that creators make money. I'll put myself in the camp of somebody that does make money, and we do really well. Thankfully, I can name on, swear to God, one hand, creators that actually make real money versus the dozens of guys and girls that I know that are struggling to make a living. They have to go get jobs, which is fine. Like but they don't want to be doing that. They had to get a job because they weren't making enough money doing what they're doing. I think it's coming down to they're creatives first, not thinking about this as a business. Whereas us in the beginning, I was also older. Like I was 24 when I started it. I wasn't 18. So like immediately I was like, I'm going to grow this brand to make money and make a business out of it. Not to have clout and go to the bars and have people know who I am. That's a cool added bonus. But the purpose of this is, number one, like have an impact and put out good information. And if you don't have kind of maybe a father figure in your life or a brother, we can kind of be that for you. Yeah. But this is a business first and foremost.
And I think my goal with having talked to so many influencers who are on that side of things of like not making nearly enough money is empowering them and then tooling them with the ideas of how they can actually make that income. And the agency that like you deserve that. Like if you have good engagement, you have 500,000 followers on Instagram, you need to get your bag. You know, there's no free gifting campaigns that pays your bills.
No.
And so like as you know, coming from my side of the world and the seat that I sit in, it's always coming from the lens of I've seen people be successful with social media and online marketing, and I've seen so many that have the potential but aren't able to squeeze dollars out of their potential. And it's a little bit nuanced based off of where you are in social media space, how you do that.
Yeah.
But it's imperative that they understand their value and that they think of themselves as a business. And they also, like so many people allow people into their lives to help them, like friends are my agent, right?
Yeah.
But then they don't really care, and like they don't.
Your friend being your agent will never work.
Never
Go get a real
work.
agent if you really want one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably do need that. You said how valuable it is for you because it keeps you in check, it keeps you honest. They're reminding you, you now have a plan in place, and that allows you to feel less stress.
I've definitely had shitty agencies though. Like I've been with management companies and agencies that I'm not blaming anybody for anything, but I then, you get relaxed and you take the eye off the ball. So if I was negotiating the brand deals and I feel like I do a good job with that, and now I'm hanging it off to you, and now I'm allowing you to do your job, and you're not bringing any deals in, and then I ask to see your email thread, and I don't like how you're pitching us, and I don't like how you're answering emails, I then sacrifice the money I'm making. And again, we go back to like, this is a business. It's not personal if I'm yelling at you or I say like, well, I don't want to work with you anymore. Right. But like my business and me making money is more important right now than me hurting your feelings.
Because the idea is this is how you would feed your family.
100%.
And
it's my money.
If they are the bottleneck that is keeping you from feeding your family and building a wealth legacy and being able to actually create substance out of all the work you do, then you're going to take that cog out of the machine. 100%. It's not working.
Yeah.
And it's a sales engine, right? And the truth is, like, every business is a business, so you need to have all parts working symbiotically.
Yep.
And so if the creative's doing really well, but if you have the sales team not doing any bit of justice to what's actually the product, then you have to be able to pull them out.
Yeah.
When you were looking for somebody to actually offer you and be your conduit to business, be your sales team, be an agent, what were you looking for? Like, how did you do that process?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's definitely progressive. Like, in the beginning when we were new, you gotta also keep in mind, like, the timing of the space you're in, right? So when we were in 2020, 2021, it was still like early TikTok days. Brands would just throw you money. And like, there was no real expectation of a return, because I knew we'd get millions of views on every video we did. We weren't that worried about like FTC guidelines, and we would do, we would like throw up an ad. If you paid us on a handshake agreement, you paid us first, we'd throw it up. We wouldn't sign any contracts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it started to get more and more serious. And in the beginning, like I said to you about the friends, we would have friends like manage us. Mm-hmm. And I would say, listen, anything you bring me, I'll pay you 20%. And I did that. Like, anything that was brought to us, I would pay people out. The only issue is, like you said, they're not working every day. Maybe they get a brand deal a month here and there, but that's not really what we need. So it's almost like being a D1 athlete and getting recruited. So like, you have this school that's coming to you and saying, we love your content. You guys are the best. We see you guys as the next, you name it. They're going to pat your back and say how good you are. And then you get in, and they're going to also tell you like how many brands are already lined up with you guys and this and that. And then you sign a deal, and it takes them 4 months to get a brand deal. And you're like, where were all these brands? Where was that hard work that you guys were talking about prior to?
Yeah.
All these connections that you guys had are now non-existent. So we got better and better at not getting played, because that's how it felt. It felt like you were dating somebody that just cheated on you. Like, dude, you lied to me the whole time.
Yeah.
So now we went into it, and we go in, and there's like seasoned guys. I'm like, dude, you're not going to bullshit me about who you're working with. I want to know. And my dad is different than me. Like, he would test people on the spot. He'd be like, all right, you're working with C4 Energy. Like, before we sign, get us a deal with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, that's not how it works. He's like, I don't care. If they want to work with us and they have this connection in their back pocket, like they just said to us, go start a conversation with them. He's like, I will pay them out the 20%, but I'm not signing a deal until they bring us something.
Yeah.
So I got to respect him, because, again, he's my partner. So we come from a different vantage point, and they know that we kind of mean business. So I look for people that can, number one, handle those conversations, but can be the person to fill in the blanks for our business and what we really need. And so, like, it's a liaison maybe between my dad and I sometimes. If, like, we're like this all the time, I need somebody that communicates with him and then communicates to me.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. You think, like, you should be able to talk to your dad. But I'm telling you, when you work with him every day and I say left, he says right, I need somebody else to kind of just meet us in the middle type of thing. So less of somebody that's just finding brand deals, more somebody that's actually integrated into the brand. I don't really need somebody to be like a really big vision, big picture person, because that's your job. I am. Yeah, I don't need you for that.
Yeah.
I need you to take my ideas and make them real. So if I'm like, I want to do this, this, and that. I want to be on this commercial. I want to be doing these things. Mm-hmm. I need that person to get to work tomorrow and like come to me with different ideas as to how we can get this done. Not that we can't. How are we going to go?
Here's the process that we're going to follow to get you to the end goal of getting the XYZ sponsorship.
We did this with, right, exactly. We did this with so-and-so. We're going to do the same thing with you guys.
Yeah. So
coming with experience, someone that can negotiate as well or better, hopefully better than us, you know what I mean? So they have that track record. That's pretty much it though. Like I put a lot of trust in the people we're working with, so I'll give you time. Like we've been with people for a year, and I finally had to say like, we're going to cut it.
Yeah.
But you learn how to grow with these people. So now we're at DBA, which is like a very food and bev focused agency. Mm-hmm. Shout out Kylie, my agent. She's phenomenal. We work really well. Women are killers for whatever reason. They're on top of their shit. They answer emails within seconds, and they don't really take no for an answer. And I feel like guys are a little different like that. So she's been awesome. Her team is awesome. And we signed with them last year, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And I relate very much so, not because I work with my dad, but I have a very similar relationship with my dad. But my boss, mentor over the last 7 years is 62. And so we see the industry in every situation from two different lenses. And there's certainly a moment at which we get off the phone and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
He's wrong. Like, like whether it was a tax situation that was misconstrued, and I'm like, he doesn't understand why, like, he paid taxes already and he didn't take it out of the business,
But
right?
he's the expert.
Right. Yeah. And, we sometimes have to have a kumbaya, and we have a girl on our team who's very good at creating, like, the middleman situation. But we're also really good at creating harmonious situations with clients. And the reason why is if the client's on the younger side, I'm probably going to spend more time interacting with them and like managing that relationship. But then I still have Ben to come in with a lot of experience. I mean, he's been doing the business for 40 years, right? So you got a guy with a CPA and law background who's been managing portfolios for 30 years, and he'll come in with a lot of expertise on a family office level, which helps a lot whether they're 200,000 or 20 million. Doesn't really matter. So if you could take pedigree with the personality and like the relevancy, and I've been doing this for 7 years, but that really means nothing in my industry. It takes like 30 years for people and a lot of gray hair for people to trust you.
That's true.
Or at least think that you have a lot of experience. And I think it's hard from a more traditional side to gain that credibility. But I leveraged social media over the last 5 years to build a brand that creates relatability, and that's how I've been able to stimulate business growth, which is obviously something that you've done a really good job of, is creating relatability. I mean, you made a video with your dad creating a drink, and now you have a podcast with, we were talking like over 150 episodes, and that shows staying power, that shows the ability to stay consistent. And as much as you say that you're not organized or you don't have the structure, you've obviously been able to execute even within this, kind of volatile like frame of mind. When you have a podcast that has over 150 episodes, you have a brand that's growing, you have over 1 million on Instagram and 3 million on TikTok, where do you see like your next leg of growth? Is it in the investing side where you're partnering or investing in brands, or is it the expansion of your podcast to just another height?
Yeah, I guess it's like a combination of all of it. So I've been investing in brands for the last 6 years or so. So whether it was personal cash we put in, or we would take equity exchange for posting and stuff like that. So I've always been pretty keen on doing it because I think it's such a great, especially we're young, and if I'm liquid right now, why not take the opportunity?
Right.
I'm a risk taker. Like I don't mind if I've had, I think 3 of the investments already go belly up. Like it is what it is. It's kind of part of the space. So I definitely see myself getting more selective with the brands we work with, but like going deeper with them. But to answer like where we go from here, I don't think we've juiced enough of the fruit yet for me to say I'm gonna go pivot somewhere else. Right? I have 1 million followers on Instagram. I don't have 10 million yet. Right. If I felt like I was at a cap or a ceiling of revenue, like I can't squeeze any more money out of brand deals, then I'll go find something else. But for right now, it's just like heads down, keep doing what you've been doing. And that's where like I'm not maybe organized or structured in my day-to-day, but I know I don't need that. You know what I mean? Like if I had to spring up into a podcast in 20 minutes, I would go home and do that. You know what I mean? I don't need to feel this like pressure of I have to be scheduled and structured and prepared for that sort of thing. Doesn't mean I come ill-prepared, but for me, I know this is a space that's constantly changing. And if you seek structure in a space that's just not structure filled, it may be very hard for you to stay up or keep up with the times where maybe things are going really well, and then there's a month where it's going not well, and then you want to give up on yourself because you're not used to that up and down, It's
almost better when it's not going well, or there's less structure, or you're forced to move when you didn't expect to. That lack of anticipation will actually provide the pressure that makes you perform better, right? Where you're like, okay, fight or flight. I think that's innate in being an athlete, and you got the ears, man. You got the athletic background.
These goofy fucking things.
So you wrestled. Did you play any other sports?
Play football. Actually, I was gonna go play football Saturday. I was Nico's roommate. Got hurt. So this is a horrible story. Got hurt. I was a freshman, and they're like, "Don't worry, like you can still film for us." And now, mind you, I'm a shorter stature dude, so I'm going up there. I had to rely on being in the weight room to look at least decently sized, right? I was in the hospital for months with my arm, couldn't lift. I felt like shit, looked like shit. I'm going up to D3 football, and you know this, like everybody's juiced to the gills because they don't test. So now you got these seniors that are all jacked up, and I'm like this little 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid, and they're like, don't worry, you can film for us. So now I'm sitting in the nest, the hawk nest, at like 6 a.m. filming these bullshit practices, and I hate myself. I get end of the season, they pay me like $200 for it. I tell Nico I'm out of there. So I stopped playing football, which I loved football, but I played at a big high school. So when I went to D3 ball, and I was like, we had a better locker room at my high school. We had more fans in the crowd. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
We were playing like 12 o'clock in like the afternoon one time, and there was nobody in the. So I was like, I'm respectfully done with this sport. I still love the sport.
Yeah.
I still have dreams of playing football, which is fucking weird at 30 years old. But
I got a lot to say about that.
You understand, because you're never gonna get. There's two things I think that happen with high school sports. You'll never have a moment in time again, I think, that your sole focus could be on one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you woke up every day and thought about football.
Yeah.
There's so much more to life now, which is like the beauty of getting older. And then also like you played a game, like that was your fun. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing, and I love what I do. I haven't had the feeling of like a really big game or anticipation of a big game ever.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like in a you can pretend like waking up and going to the gym is the same, but filling that void is very difficult. That's why people run ultra marathons, to try. But even then, like it's very difficult to match that.
But that's why I relate to people like Francis, like who chase that next like thing, you know, because taking the football helmet off was a really hard thing for me. Like I struggled with that, and I imagine like when you were done playing football, that was a bit of a personality problem and maybe a little identity crisis. I had an identity crisis. I had like seasonal depression every fall, because every fall that I was putting on a suit and going into work, and it was getting colder and colder, and I wasn't wearing cleats and a helmet, was certainly like, it was like detrimental to my mental health.
Yeah.
But then I recreated that with bodybuilding in the gym, and then created my own team atmosphere where like I have friends who will show up at 5 a.m, at 6 a.m to train, or train late at night with me. And honestly, that's kind of why I fell in love with the gym, because it created community and a team atmosphere where while I felt like I was improving at practice, I was also improving with teammates, and we were fighting with each other. And that's kind of what I needed to feel fueled. Right. And I think being in finance and having a team structure where we're all working on the same project, we're all growing together, was able to re-engineer my thinking about how I approach that, where every day kind of feels like game day, or at least like practice.
That's sick.
And I think you can do that you can repackage that in every single industry. Whatever your business is, you can repackage your day into feeling like you're showing up to game day, as long as you have people around you and a team. Or you could be the wrestler who enters the ring by himself, right? And you could also have that mindset.
Yeah, which you have to adapt when you're alone. So listen, I love what I do. I genuinely would not want to do anything else. If you ask me like, what would be your dream profession right now? It'd be this. Like I seriously mean that. Maybe playing in the NFL, but then it comes with like the CT and all that nonsense. The one thing I do miss is the camaraderie of a team, right? So even like you said, putting together your own team. So could my dad and I do this alone? Probably. We could still sustain making money and growing a brand, but having people around you to get excited for you. So my podcast producers and editors, when a video is doing well, I get to text somebody and say, yo, look how well we put this together, and now people are enjoying the content. Like, that's a really good feeling. You don't want to celebrate alone. Like, that's a really shitty thing to do, is like getting millions of views, or you achieve the goal, you look around and nobody cares, or they're jealous of you. Like, sharing those moments with people that aren't in it, you're just going to rub them the wrong way. And I always felt that, and I was like, I'm not even going to bother telling anybody what I'm doing, because like, how could I share that with you when I know you're not going to receive it the way I want to? It's very rare that I think a true friend looks you at what you're doing and like, dude, that's really, really cool, if they're not doing the same thing.
And I think that's why creating your own winner circle of friends, a bunch of people who have their own things going on, is just as important as building a team.
100%.
Right? Where I relate better to people who are hungry. Like, if you're hungry for something, and it's totally different than my version of hunger, but we're also chasing something at the same time, I'm going to root for you, and every time you win, we're going to dinner, you know? And that actually feeds my fire to say, well, he's doing that, well, I can't wait to get mine, right? And I have that with Lou. Like, me and Lou celebrate a lot together, and the thought of all of your friends are winning, that's like the goal. That's nirvana, right? Because the wins that we experience are never actually that impactful. We were talking about this before, right? You have to re-incentivize yourself for the next goal, right? So you run a marathon, and you're like, you run the next one faster, and you're like, let's try 50, you know? And I think over time you compound all of that fire in your belly to the next thing, and you constantly have to have something to chase, but you have to enjoy that journey on the way there, because the destination is never as sweet. And the journey is lonely if you do it with nobody else. Right?
And to fill that void, I train jiu-jitsu, and it becomes like it becomes a bug. You want to get good at that one thing, and it's a very humbling and hard sport to be good at off the rip, so you got to train a lot. But the thing that is missing is that like achievement feeling if you don't take a step back and feel it yourself. So preparing to run a marathon, you run the marathon, there's your goal achieved. Whereas if you're training in jiu-jitsu and you compete but you lose, you don't feel that sense of accomplishment, right? Like the accomplishment was training and then competing. That should have felt like a win.
Right.
But if you're a competitor, it's hard to feel that when you just lost, right? And you'll never feel that. So you kind of back to the drawing board, but you hold solace in like the fact that you're just getting better over time, and that you used to be the guy that was getting his ass kicked and felt like crying after a workout, but now you're doing that onto other people, and not like in a malicious way, but it's like the circle of life.
You've gained the advantage because you've put in enough reps.
Yeah, the guy that you always thought was untouchable is how somebody sees you now on a mat.
Yeah.
And like, wow, whatever I do, I cannot even come close to this guy. And just know that that guy you're talking about feels the same way about somebody else.
What got you into jiu-jitsu?
I was in 8th grade. Oh, what the fuck? Was it probably UFC. I was watching UFC, like any other 8th grader. And I remember I learned how to do like a rear naked choke, and I went to football camp, and I choked out like 3 of my friends, like for fun. And we thought it was fun. Like we didn't know what was going on.
Choked them out.
And I was 14 years old, and I'm choking these kids out. I would like lay them on the ground, and then I would shake them around, be like, "You're fine, don't worry, I promise you." And then I would choke another one out. I put a pillow down, I'd be like, "You're fine." And like the 18-year-old seniors would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I learned how to do this." And they're like, "Could you like kick our ass?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're 6'2". I cannot kick your ass." I'm like, "Yeah, probably." And then somebody like told my instructor, he's like, "Dude, you cannot be doing that. Like that's not safe. Number one, you don't really know what you're doing yet. But number two, you could kill somebody."
Yeah.
And so I think it was a sense of identity. Like, oh, I found this thing now. Now people identify me as being good at. Even if I'm not good yet, that's my thing. And then it's a really good feeling to know that like you can handle yourself against other people. I'm not a confrontational dude. I don't like arguing and being an asshole to anybody. If somebody confronts me in person, I'm either quick to walk away or start. Like I'm not arguing with you with my words because I'm probably not too good at it. So I'm either going to get in or get out. And so for me, like I need to be able to know what I'm doing. Yeah. And it's a really good feeling to be calm in those situations, to be like, dude, I don't even need to, you got this. I'm going to walk away. Yeah. And if God forbid somebody needs to, you really need to use your skills, I guess it's pretty practical. But it's kind of like anything else, man. It's a bug. Like you really do hit a place where you're like, I need to get better at this. I can't give up yet because of how many guys that are doing this are still so much better than me. Yeah. And that chase will never end. But yeah, it becomes a part of your life. And then like it really shapes you. Like you look a different way. Like my forehead is very Neanderthal-esque. My ears, like my mom's like, "You're ugly, dude. Like what happened to you?" I'm like, "It's just part of the game, man." But you start to embrace that thing. But you also got to realize what your thing actually is, and if that's what you want to be known for. So, for example, I remember getting very frustrated about jiu-jitsu one day, and I was talking to a guy that I was training with, and he's like, "Do you want to be a world champion one day?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Then this should be adding to your life." Yeah. He's like, "You don't want to be doing what world champions do." First off, they make no money. Like jiu-jitsu guys normally they train 3 times a day because they have no job. Yeah. And they live out of their car. Like that's not even a joke. Most of them are struggling unless they're the ones that are training and doing the privates. So like, is that a life I identify with? No, it's not. Yeah. Do I want to look like those guys walking around that they kind of look disheveled and they don't know how to dress and they have no real presence when they walk in a room? Probably not. Do I want to be aching in my neck, on my back everywhere I go? Probably not. So like there's things that I know I want and the things that I know I don't want. Yeah. So it's filling a void in my life, but it's dangerous when it starts to consume you.
If you guys are still listening to this awesome conversation with John, please like and subscribe so we can help push this podcast out to the rest of the world. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below the next person you want to see.
Going back to being an athlete and what that's done for your life and how you continue to stay athletic and competitive, do you think that you would have as much success with social media, the podcast, the business stuff, if you didn't grow up in that environment?
Whoa. I think, I'm not just like, I think I'd be an alcoholic if I didn't work out. I swear. I wake up and I'm like, what stopped me from drinking today? Yeah. And I'm like, the hangover tomorrow. I'm like, but if I didn't care about working out, I would be drunk or at least be buzzed. Like, why would I not be drinking? It's my like lifestyle. I can make it work. Yeah. So I think it keeps me, and I have Crohn's disease. Oh, so really? I have to stay relatively healthy with the things I consume. Yeah. If I didn't have those 2 things, I'd be in a very dangerous spot. And you see it all the time. Like you got these guys that are in their mid-20s that are hit with a lot of money pretty quick and like this quote unquote fame or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you have this lifestyle where like you can go do things that are really, really cool things. So you're not just going like the local bar, you could be doing things that are like experiences, but you can do them every single day. And so like that's a slippery slope that I really am thankful that I've never been down.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll dabble, you know, but being in the gym and having like a specific goal of what I want to look like and feel like definitely keeps me grounded. Does it translate over to work? Probably, because I'm not fucking hungover,
Right.
and I can function, you know, I can think straight.
Yeah.
And I think it keeps you wanting more. I think when you're drinking and you're hungover or you're smoking weed or doing drugs, you get very complacent and you get very like delusional. You're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So staying sober helps with that. you
Yeah.
know? So
I think
that's the only difference.
It's almost like reformatting an addictive personality, right?
Yeah.
I have a very addictive personality, and so I have to be very cautious about where I spend my time and the things that I allow into my life, because otherwise it could be a huge downward spiral. And I like to drink, like I like to go out, and I had like a huge chapter, especially during college, but even early as like I entered finance, that like that was what I did very frequently, even as much as I was health conscious, right? I still wanted to look good, I wanted to get in the gym, but I'd still be drinking 3 nights a week, 4
Really?
nights a week. Yeah. And it was what I had to reposition my brain as is it's not serving me in those moments that are like kind of like BS drinking are not impactful. Like I don't enjoy the fact that like I wake up the next morning, I feel awful and I'm going to go force it out of me in the gym.
Yeah,
but that's like the way I always approached it. And it was toxic for sure.
Yeah.
But the way I've thought about it is if I think of myself as a high performance athlete all the time and I need to be on, and that's the truth, whether it is in the gym or if I'm sitting at the desk trading, you know, one lapse of focus could cause $100,000 error, and all of a sudden you're in huge trouble, right? So you can't be out drinking until 2, 3 in the morning every single night of the week when you have to go perform the next
See,
day.
that's like the difference between this creator space is that your errors and fuck ups nobody knows about, right? So you could get fired, right? Like you fuck up in work or you're not there, let's say you slept in, you could literally get fired the next day.
Right.
If I fuck up, I sleep in, I don't post, what happens is nothing. You know what I mean? So like I can hide my mistakes very well. The issue with that is that can then compound over time where months go by. I think I'm fine, but slowly but surely brands aren't reaching out. We're not getting the views we used to get. And I'm like withering away without knowing it. So there's no like smack in the face or fire under our ass until it becomes almost too late. So it kind of keeps you on where you got to keep that as a reminder to yourself. Nobody's there to really tell you like, hey, if you mess up today, you're done.
Yeah. It's like if you missed a practice for football or for wrestling, you'd be off the team.
Dude, and I still have that fear of like missing a class that I'm signing up for. I am paying for this class, and I get upset when I'm late or I miss it. But it's a slippery slope too where you need to miss one time to realize the world's not ending and then realize that you can miss. And then it's like dangerous where nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like you said, you miss a football practice, you get reamed out. Nobody's yelling at me if I miss a training session.
Right.
You know?
I still have these reoccurring dreams of this one game. I overslept and missed the bus to go to Massachusetts.
No way.
So I got in my Jeep and I floored it and I pressed it to 100 miles an hour as much as I could possibly get this Jeep Wrangler. No music, no AC, 2 hands on the wheel for an hour and a half.
And Salve?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I got there before everybody, like as the bus arrived, I arrived.
Yeah.
But I missed the bus, so they didn't account for me, and I got suspended for the first half. It's the only game that I didn't step foot on the field until the second half. And it's the only game I thought I was going to miss my entire career. I didn't miss for injury. I never missed a game otherwise. But it's this fear in my brain that I'm running late that never went away.
Really?
And it reoccurs. It's almost like on a monthly basis. It's like this weird phenomenon that if I feel like I'm falling behind on like my tasks and responsibilities and getting back to people, I get this fear that I missed the bus. And I think that'll always be programmed in my brain as an athlete that I have to be at practice. I have to be at the game. And if I show up late, I don't get to play in the game.
That's, again, the opposite effect when you're in this space is like you realize being late doesn't really have that bad of a result. If you do something enough times and you think the result's gonna be bad and then it's really not that bad, you keep doing that bad thing. Yeah. And I think it happens all the time. Like I ask creators or people to be on the podcast and it's without fail, everybody's late. Unless they're professionals. Then they're there 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
But we're so conditioned to like, time doesn't really exist. Like it's like this like blasé thing where we say we're going to do something at 2:00, but if it's done at 2:30, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And that's, again, talking about my dad, who was from corporate America, drives him nuts. If I'm home at 2:30 and I said I was going to be home at 2, which is inevitable, it's going to happen every time, he reams me. But like I have this innate feeling in my system where like I can't move until it's procrastination.
Yeah.
And I'm late. It's
Yeah.
weird. I wish I wasn't like that. But I'll see on the clock, I'm like, all right, if I time this perfectly, I'll get there on exact time, and then I'm late every time.
But I play the same exact games, and I think that's also part of the entrepreneurial spirit, that you think you can get more done
Yeah.
in less time. And it's this race against the clock that I play.
Yeah.
And I set my clock late so that it's...
You do?
Yeah.
I gotta start doing that.
Yeah, it helps a ton. Like even with the wake-up clock. Like if I wake up and I see it's 5:05,
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. It's really 4:50.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, and it helps a ton because then I know that like, oh, now I'm already...
Like your phone is...
No, not my phone. You can't.
Oh,
I
like,
don't think you can.
I was
do
gonna
that.
say, how do you
No,
do that?
I use an alarm clock.
You do?
If you use your phone, like you turn that off, it's right next to you. Like I use a real alarm clock. It's loud. It sucks. I have to get up and go turn it off. I'm already 10 toes on the floor,
Whoa.
and I already feel late. So
Yeah.
now I'm moving, and I'm like full tilt. And I think that's the way I've re-engineered my morning to be like, oh, I got to play faster because if I don't, I'm running out of time.
Right. Okay.
But I'm always that guy who's like running to the ferry because I know I'm about to miss it because I tried to do a couple
So
extra things.
you're catching it right as it's coming. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
But you know, I think that's a personality thing where you feel like you can do more and do more. And I think I have to change my strategy in a lot of ways because I overwhelm myself with things to get done because I know that I want to, but the bandwidth is only so wide.
Yeah,
Right. Like you can schedule out and time block, but you got to account for the fact that there's going to be margin for error. And
Yeah, that's
if,
true.
If you don't account for that, you're going to end up disappointing more people and missing on more KPIs if you don't have that allotment for the margin for error. And what's interesting for somebody like you who has open architecture to be able to do so many different things, what excites you about your day? Like what actually gets you excited about the things that you do every day?
That's a really good question, man. Not much. There's plenty of days where I'm like, all right, I got to do this again, which is why I need to get in like a creative flow. I love making content. I really do. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy making content that I know is going to perform well. So getting in that flow of continuous content creation. So I don't like taking vacations or taking time off of making and creating because you may think, oh, you're fine, but you mentally start to slip and you get very bored and dull. And I think it compounds to other aspects of your life. So if I'm training and eating healthy and I'm working really hard and then you see a video do really well, what you want is another video do really well. And then it keeps the cycle going.
Yeah.
But as soon as I let it slip, I know I can stay afloat by doing pretty much nothing. If I didn't want to like exceed where I'm at right now, I could do dog shit for a week and in that week get what I need to get done and still perceivably be successful. And that kind of like scares me with this thought of Chris Williamson talks about it. He's like, good is good, but really bad is better than just okay. Because just okay, you'll stay in that limbo stage forever. But really bad lights that fire under your ass to get moving.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel myself slipping in that just okay. And I'm like, well, I did this month and we'll be okay. And compared to this person and that person. And so that game is very bad. I either got to compare myself to what I know I can do or somebody that's doing better.
Yeah.
And what excites me is, again, doing stuff that's maybe a little bit scary if it's like a launch of a product or it's a live stream of a day of something that we don't think we can get done. I like putting myself out there for people to say, like, you're not going to go and do that. And then even if you fail, like, I don't mind that. At least we went and tried. But trying and failing, as corny as it sounds, is so much better than not doing anything.
I posted on Instagram about a half hour before we sat down, and I wrote, "You can't" are my favorite words put together.
Yeah.
Because right after I hear those words are my best chapters of growth. And I usually need somebody to tell me, you can't do that. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're not there yet, because that pisses me off. And like you said, like you're a bit contrarian to authority. I'm the same way, not in the sense that I want to break all the rules, but I want to show that I can.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that you're going to tell me that I can't.
Right.
And for all the reasons that you say I can't, I'm going to prove to you that that's not logic in my head.
Yeah.
And when you think about failure and whether living in this mediocrity phase is that bad, failure is so much better than living in the average. And I always try to encourage people to actually fail as often as possible, put too much on their plate, constantly overload themselves, take on really big risk, because that forces growth. And you only really feel the pain when you fail. If you never fail, if you never actually tried to do something that was out of bounds of your normal capacity, you don't really know where the limits are.
Yeah,
and so you
really
never
bored.
reach potential.
Yeah.
And I've made kind of a game of this in my life, is to figure out how many times I can fail in a year. And that usually has benefited me in the way that the next couple months, the ensuing months, are the most productive, the most successful, the most enriching, and I end up the most grateful. Where if you never feel that pain, you never really find the nirvana of that next level of achievement, and you live in this very bland life. And I would imagine that the run-of-the-mill, constantly posting and things just being very routine could be excessively boring, where you don't necessarily feel the excitement. If you had to have like your dream podcast guest or your dream brand deal, what would be the thing that got you more excited than the norm?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I used to think about people, and now I think about when you say dream, like what feeling does it invoke for, right? So like I've had really big guests on, like guys that I've never thought I'd be able to talk to. And those are great conversations, but I've had really good conversations with people that are maybe just friends or no names, right?
Yeah.
So for the question of a dream podcast guest, I think of like a couple things. Transparently, like who would yield the most views, right?
Yeah.
Or is it who's going to have a really, really good conversation that I can pull from?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any human being on this earth that like would, other than Jesus Christ, seriously, that would like transform me as a human being forever. And maybe I'm wrong, but like if I sat down with Matthew McConaughey, that'd be a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah.
But that feeling would die off in a couple of days.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you could reflect on that, be like, wow, he said this thing, and I'm gonna go now live my life a little bit differently. And maybe you will, but also maybe you won't. So I think for now it would be, I'd rather, where could I string together a lot of podcast guests, not one? Because I know, like we talked about before, you're a flash in the pan as far as podcasters. You get one big guest on, it doesn't lead to anything unless you keep it moving. So it would probably be maybe somebody that makes the podcast shine and puts a good light on the podcast itself, not necessarily the guest.
Yeah.
If I had Tom Brady in the podcast tomorrow, right? That video would do very well.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't relate to the other episodes, so we really wouldn't do much for the brand. I'd rather find somebody that catapults the brand into a next space, and now people are obsessed with watching us. So that's probably where but years ago I would say, I want to get Kevin Hart on the podcast and Dana White, and oh wow, I did it, and it's gonna change my life overnight. This is a hilarious story. We were gonna go down to Atlanta to get Rick Ross on the podcast.
Okay.
Which I was so hyped that we were going down to like his estate and like set up shop there.
Yeah.
And they have the Bel Air champagne.
Yeah.
And so like, oh, you guys can come and you'll make videos with your dad and this and that. And I was like, Dad, this is a big deal. I know you don't like the podcast, but just come down with us and like we'll make the videos with Bel Air. He's like, nah, I don't really feel like going down to Atlanta. I was like, what are you talking about? Rick Ross wants us to come down, and he's like, is that going to make or break your podcast? I'm like, it's not what it's about. Right. And he's like, isn't Rick Ross touring in Philly? I'm like, yeah. He's like, wait for him to come up here. You can come. I'm like, sure, Dad, I'm going to tell him. So I called, and I'm like, hey, would you guys mind? And like, yeah, we'll try to make it work. So it never happened. But like that for me was a moment that I realized he's probably right. Like we would have went down and had a great experience, maybe get 1 million views on that episode. It wouldn't change the trajectory of the podcast that much. Yeah. But it's an in the moment feeling of like, wow, this would be something super special.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been thinking about that a lot because, Carve Your Path, this is like episodes 5 or 6. So,
when are you going to air these?
They're going right now.
Well, they are.
We just opened up February with the first one, so
hell yeah,
yeah, they're gonna roll weekly. Yeah,
that's
thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate it. I know you know how it feels to like try to get it off the ground and actually.
It feels like it's never off the ground. Honestly, like I don't think you ever feel like you're off the ground.
I kind of imagine it's like a plane that just keeps bumping.
I feel like I'm like never off this fucking. And every time you think, you like get a gust of wind that brings it.
Yeah.
Like my buddy Julian has 1 million subs, and he still feels to this day he's always like, when I get there,
Yeah.
I'm like, get where? Fucker, you're here. You're one of the biggest podcasters in the world. What are you talking about? You know? So I think you'll always have like that dilute, but that's what keeps it moving.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I know billionaires who never feel like they're accomplished.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
Exit the massive company and then they're like, oh, on to the next one, or how do I trade this thing?
Yep.
And the truth is, I think it's more of like the game, and the part that I'm excited about is like Lua and I have a couple weeks of travel ahead of us, and we're organically going to these places. So we will try to get podcasts done with unique people that are going to be convenient to see and do the podcast.
That's smart.
And the whole concept of the podcast is carve your path. So people who have carved an interesting path, who have been able to either take a unique characteristic that they have that made them special in their space that they're able to be successful with, or had to overcome obstacles that people would derive some bit of inspiration, because when you feel like you're out, you're really not. You know, we had Bryson on, who's a good friend of mine, who he tore his ACL, blew up his knee while he was dreaming of the NFL, playing football at Wisconsin. And then during COVID, he goes to Chicago to hang out with a buddy. He was only supposed to be there for a couple of days. He went back, packed a bag, came back, and he stayed there for the next 4 months. Learned how to trade every single asset class. Now he's an equity trader on Wall Street.
Wow.
Yeah. Lost 100 pounds, runs marathons. He's a totally different dude.
These marathon runners, man, there's something to this.
It's crazy.
They have to start running.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I would say is there's always a chase, and runners specifically will chase the runners high. But I want to take people who are chasing greatness in whatever facet of life that they're in, that they find enthusing, special, that gets them up in the morning, and let them tell their story and allow people to derive their own influence, knowledge, or inspiration from that. Because I think we all can resonate with, we've heard somebody say something that created a cue in our head, and that's why we operate in that way, right? And we're all just a blended version of everything that we've ever heard or digested over our entire life. And so you try to expose yourself to as many good, positive, and successful people, because you end up embodying a lot of their traits, or at least a couple of them.
Yeah.
That's why mentorship and being able to digest good quality content is so important. So that was the whole concept of the podcast. Let's not try to make really money on this thing. Let's try to fuel an engine that's impactful.
That's a good point.
Because, there's a lot of money in the world, right? And I'm in the world of money. So there's always a way to get it, make it, create it.
Sure.
But making somebody feel something and making somebody feel proud, impacted, and being able to achieve something in life, I think it's even more special.
Yeah, I agree.
Couple last questions before we get out of here. If you had to live in the one place in the world that you want to live in, if you had no constraints, where would it be?
Realistically, let's say I made content on my own, I'd probably be in Florida. I don't know, dude. I love where I live. Honestly, I love this area.
Jersey's
I think
great.
we have some of the best food in the world. I like the seasons. I hate that it's 5 degrees right now, but you really appreciate the springtime. And I love the community. I'm actually I don't like traveling a lot. And then the more I travel, I'm I actually like this travel stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like a homebody. I'll stay in my apartment. I love this. There's so much to explore in New York City that I just started doing it, going to different bars and restaurants. And it's you have every culture ingrained in one area. So if I didn't live here, I think Florida would be really cool, but that seems super fast paced and you're always trying to chase the next person or next thing. I would never live in LA or anything like that. No. Haven't been to enough countries to say I'd like to live in Italy. I think that would be fun for a vacation. I don't think I'd like to live in a place like Europe.
Yeah.
So I like Fort Lauderdale. I'd probably live down there.
Yeah.
Maybe Santa Monica is pretty cool, but again, it's a slow pace for us.
Yeah.
Here or Florida, I think I would go.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Jersey. Florida is obviously a great change of pace.
Yeah.
But I think you have the best food, you have a good community, and there's a lot to be said for when you know everybody in an area.
Exactly.
You know what to do.
Yeah.
Visitors come in, you know where to take them.
100%.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Oh my God. Well, you mentioned before, I don't want to use recency bias. I do love Blue on the Hudson. I'm trying to think of other, in New Jersey or New York? Anywhere. If I'm going to a spot, where am I going to go? You know where I went? It's called Bourbon Steak.
Yeah.
New York City. Fucking phenomenal. Really, really good steak.
I went to Bourbon Steak in Nashville.
In Nashville?
Yeah, I
They
went
went
with
for it,
Kyle
too.
and Alyssa, and we had been drinking the entire day, and finally took a break for 4 hours. And there was 5 of us on the trip, and only the 3 of us went to dinner. The other 2 just didn't make it.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the best dining experiences I've had outside of New York. That was actually that good.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was great. They brought the steak out in a capsule.
So sick.
I
Yeah,
was
they let it rip.
I'm sold.
So they're really good. That's honestly, we talk about making content. I've been so blessed with really cool opportunities to go to these different bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
But I'm filming the whole thing, so it's hard for you to live kind of in the moment. So I'm trying to think about spots that I went to that I was like, whoa, this is next level experience. You know what I mean? Like I love sushi.
Yeah.
So like I hate to tell you Nobu. That sounds super gay.
Sushi by C is good.
Sushi by C is very good. Shout out to Jay over there. You been? Oh
Yeah, I
right,
was
because you
there.
went with us. Yeah, that place is fire. So like I think of spots like that are like real cool experiences that are different than just going to like a regular sushi spot.
Yeah. If you had to tell the younger John 10 years ago
Whoa.
what he should be doing right now
Okay.
to be successful or to feel fulfilled.
Okay. At 20 years old, where was I in life? So I was fresh out of surgery. I was like getting back into. I was like super depressed. I mean, like happened to be depressed at 20 because of like what I was going through with the surgeries and feeling like a lack of purpose. I'd probably just tell him like, hang on, like life is gonna get a lot better if you just keep doing what you're doing. I was probably way more serious at 20. Like I thought I'd have to copy and paste what other people were doing as far as like their morning routines and how they spoke and how they dressed, and I didn't focus on myself. I would say try to become more self-aware, become more faithful in God earlier on, and really discover who you are. You know what I mean? I think a lot of young kids, especially now with social media, like you talked about, you're kind of just like bits and pieces of everything you experience, and then you encapsulate it into one thing.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you actually like doing or presenting to the world. So I would tell that younger self, be yourself more, as corny as that sounds, and learn and appreciate what makes you and gets you excited, what you love to do, who you like to surround yourself with, and who you want people to kind of know you as.
Yeah. Having clarity of self.
Yeah.
Definitely resonate with that. Dude, this podcast was awesome. I really
Thank you, man.
appreciate you sitting down and talking
Appreciate
with me.
having
You are definitely that like authentic version of yourself. Like if you told yourself that 10 years ago, you're doing a good job at it.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, bro.
I think that's why you're successful at what you're doing. I think most people who like lead genuinely want to help people. I mean, you offered to send like a new mixer to Lou. I think like you recognize when somebody just wants to help.
Yeah.
And, like give people what you've already learned.
I'm just so blessed, dude. Like, why would I not want to help and give back? And I've always had like a sense of guilt of like, the last thing I'd want is somebody thinking that I'm like this super pretentious douchebag that has these things and doesn't want to give. Like, I want everybody around me to know that what I have, I want everybody to kind of experience with. And if I can help, then I'd love to.
Plenty to go around.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man. That was
Peace.
sick. That was great.
This was fun, dude.